Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Board of Education for New Haven Public Schools, and it is September 8th, 2025. We will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next in our agenda, I would like Dr. Negron to talk about the New Haven Public School CT Financial Scholars Program. Dr. Negron?
Thank you. Good evening, President Yarborough and members of the board and the public. We're very excited today. We wanted to take this opportunity to make the official announcement regarding our partnership with the Connecticut Financial Scholars Program. But before I begin, I do want to express my gratitude to Monica Joyner for her leadership in finding a way for New Haven Public Schools not just to meet, but to exceed Connecticut's new personal finance education mandate a full year ahead of schedule. We are proud to be the first district in the state to implement high-quality, district-wide personal finance education at this level. This is learning that is extremely practical, incredibly relevant, and absolutely necessary for students. We're also proud to do it through a powerful public-private partnership with zero cost to the school district, thanks to a $300,000 multi-year commitment from Webster Bank and other generous partners. This is the kind of collaboration that gives our students the tools they need to succeed in school, in their careers, and in life. So with that, I do want to invite our supervisor of mathematics, Monica Joyner, to the podium.
Press something?
Yep.
So let me say it again so that you can hear me.
Just so young.
Thank you, Dr. Negron. As math supervisor and a member of our teaching and learning team, I keep our theory of action at the forefront of my mind when seeking opportunities and making decisions for our children. Our theory of action is if we personalize learning experiences tailored to every student's needs and interests while supporting staff by focusing on continuous improvement, then we will positively impact student success. When I first learned about Connecticut Financial Scholars, I knew we had found something challenging, outcomes-based, and built for long-term impact that aligned with our theory of action. There is little more personalized than financial education and the opportunities it creates. This is vital not just for our students, but for their families and our entire community. I am especially proud of our teachers. This summer, 14 of our teachers prioritized their own learning, dedicating time during their break to attend 2 full days of professional development. With this training, they built their confidence with this new curriculum and committed to bringing engaging, highly relevant content into our classrooms. They are the reason this program will succeed and why our students will graduate with the skills and confidence to thrive beyond the classroom. And I'm especially excited, this is probably one of my favorite parts, excited about the adult financial empowerment workshops that will enable every family in our district to access no-cost financial education themselves. There is absolutely no downside to this program. I can't wait to see all of the possibilities that I envision come to fruition. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Purdy. I'm a business education teacher at Co-op High School. I've worked for over 20 years teaching in New Haven Public Schools. Tonight, I am honored to represent New Haven financial educators and express the gratitude for the partnership with the Connecticut Financial Scholars Organization. Financial literacy is so important because it gives our students the confidence to make smarter choices about their futures. And what makes it especially powerful and relevant is its relevance. Every student needs these skills, no matter what path they plan to take after graduation. Our students quickly recognize the importance of personal finance and the difference it can make in their own lives. This sparks engagement and excitement, which makes it fun, impactful, and rewarding to teach. I've seen how my students are now applying what they have learned. They're discussing financial aid with their families, comparing college costs, understanding credit cards and loans, and exploring career paths. It's inspiring to see students not just dreaming of college or similar pursuits, but preparing for its clear-eyed plan. We're helping these families also feel part of the process. Our students aren't just imagining their futures, they're preparing for them. Connecticut Financial Scholars has been invaluable to me. Their resources and support, financial lessons are practical and accessible for all students. They help us bring the real world into our classrooms, and they offer workshops for our parents as well. I am grateful for New Haven Public Schools for their leadership in prioritizing financial education district-wide and for supporting this important work. Thank you. Thank you.
It's always so hard to follow the educators. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you to all of you. I'm Nancy Kale. I am the Executive Director of Connecticut Financial Scholars, and Connecticut Financial Scholars is so proud to partner with the New Haven Public Schools. We're working with all 9 of your public schools and over 16 personal finance teachers, and we're growing from there. And it's been a joy to work alongside Monica. There you are. And our teacher partners. There are many in the audience tonight, and we can't wait to get to know your students. At Connecticut Financial Scholars, we build with our school communities, not for them. They participate in everything that we do, and this is really a partnership in every sense of the word. And I invite everybody to participate. If you're a student, if you're a parent, if you're a community member, and you want to get involved as a guest speaker, as a volunteer, or as a summer internship host, these are paid summer internships for our students, we welcome you. I have a bunch of information in the back, and you'll probably see a lot of it at the back to school nights that are coming up. Financial empowerment is a community investment, and we really have to work together so that we can give every student and their families the tools to thrive. So I can't thank you enough. I'd like to introduce our last speaker, even though he needs no introduction. He is a huge champion of financial empowerment and literacy for not only students and families, but everybody in our state. So I welcome State Treasurer Eric Russell.
Well, thank you, Nancy, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and it's always nice to be back home after being in Hartford and running around the state. So really appreciate the opportunity to join you today. Listen, growing up here in New Haven, and I know many folks in the room also know my parents, who ran a small convenience store when we were growing up. And my parents worked incredibly hard and did what they could in terms of running their small business to provide for my siblings and I. And though, they worked incredibly hard and ran a small business, they did not have many of these personal finance skills to apply in their own life or to pass down to me. And I think it's why it is so important that we're having this conversation tonight, because it's why this education matters so much. As has been talked about, it's about learning how to create a future that you want. And as we are thinking about our kids and the education they're receiving, financial education is so powerful in thinking about these children being able to build a life that frankly may not even be able to see in front of them at this point. As state treasurer, I'm in the money business, right? And I can tell you, I wish I had this type of education when I was in school. And what New Haven Public Schools is doing in giving students the knowledge to manage their own resources, to make smart decisions, to connect with careers, to think about their higher education opportunities, to think about wealth building in the future is incredibly powerful. And it parlays directly with a lot of the work that we are doing in our office, not only around financial education, but about creating more opportunities and investing in the future of our young people with programs like Connecticut Baby Bonds that are aimed at addressing wealth disparity in our country, and with programs like our Chet 529 college education programs, right? Getting folks to think about saving early for their future education expenses. This learning will help students, help them weather tough times, make sound investments, and strengthen their families. And we know that when we are investing in students, when we're investing in our future, we are also strengthening Connecticut's economy and future prosperity as well. And so I'm deeply appreciative and incredibly proud of New Haven for stepping up and developing this relationship. It's been a pleasure to partner with Connecticut Financial Scholars in our office. And New Haven is really leading the way in focusing on financial empowerment education. So, what we're doing is vital here, and I want you to know that we are incredibly supportive. We look forward to continuing our partnership through the Treasurer's Office with the work that's happening here in New Haven and all across the state. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
That concludes our announcement.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Dr. Joyner.
Testing. First of all, let me say how incredibly proud I am of this initiative, as well as the people who are behind it. I always try to shout out our graduates who are doing so much good work in the school district. And tonight I get a chance to shout out not only a graduate, but my daughter. And I think the rule is that if you do the same thing for everybody, then you certainly can do it for your own child. And I cannot say how proud I am that the great-great-great-granddaughter of Lucy Carr, who was a slave in North Carolina, has taken a lead in this initiative. And I also can't say how proud I am that Eric Russell, one of our own, is a treasury of the wealthiest state in the nation. And I suspect that his own experiences and how he grew up has motivated him to work with like-minded people like Monica and the wonderful people from the organization, our superintendent, our board president, to create an opportunity for our children to learn as much about the system as possible, understand it, and benefit from it. And I wrote a quote down. You might think this is something that comes out of the Communist Manifesto or something like that, but it really comes out of my experience as a historian. And it has to do with a book that I read once by Winthrop Jordan about slavery. And he said that the reason that slavery developed is because there was no moral force in the world to oppose it. And he called that the dynamics of unopposed capitalism. And since I've been thinking about that quote for about 50 plus years, it came to me that capitalism without a moral compass is a direct cause of human exploitation. Educating the masses about how our financial system works is imperative, especially if those students are the descendants of peoples and I'm not being grammatically incorrect because I'm saying peoples, not like my grandmother used to say it, who have been colonized, enslaved, and exploited. And it's not just about ethnic groups, it's also about women. It's about gay people. It's about human variability. You may not know what you're doing right now, and I may not be around when it manifests itself fully because you have opposition. But this is one of the best things we've ever done. And it's a movement toward pragmatic education. An education that has a purpose, that has utility, and that empowers students. So I can't say enough about how thankful I am of everybody that had a part in this, and how especially proud I am of my own child. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Mr. Wilcox?
Thank you. I was going to put my hand down just because I'm not going to be able to say anything nearly so eloquent as what we just heard. But I do just want to say that this is fabulous. This is from all indications, it sounds like a wonderful program, and it is so much needed. The financial system is basically designed to eat people alive, and giving people the knowledge and information and the tools to be able to take care of themselves and their families and their futures is just fabulous. I look forward to hearing more about this as this rolls out and seeing some of the materials, and I think I'm going to learn some things myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Just want to share that I agree with what has been mentioned, and understanding personal finances as I work with, one, just in my own life, but also as I work with New Haven youth and young adults and adults. Understanding personal finances has been one of the top three desires, maybe next to understanding oneself and understanding others. Just understanding how personal finances work is something that is very liberating. And as you were speaking, there are three things, maybe four things that you're doing that really stand out to me. One, you're helping to create vision. And having vision can take people places they never expected themselves to go. I don't have to have experienced something in order to have vision for it when people come around me and say, look at what you can do, look at where you can go, look at who you can be, and here's a path to get there. But in addition to giving vision, you're also providing tools. Vision without tools is quite cruel, but you're taking this next step to actually give people the strategy and the approach for moving forward. And it sounds like that in addition to the tools, there will also be skill. Knowing how to apply the financial principles in order to take oneself from where I am to where I need to be or where I dream to be is very, very critical. And if you did all of that, that would be great. The fourth thing that you're doing that really is going to top everything is I think I heard that you're also working with adults. You could have stopped the money with the children. But to also bring in the adults of the family will bring a common language, will bring perhaps discussion and allow a synergy that is less likely to be stopped and is more likely to be generational and transformational. So thank you to the teachers, the 14 teachers who trained in this new curriculum and others who supported it, the leaders who stepped up to develop this, our superintendent, the partners, your leadership. Just very grateful for this. So I'm excited, and I look forward to hearing many things, and I also look forward to the ripple effect that's going to come from this work. So thank you very, very much. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the opportunity for public participation. And I will continue to learn how this works, and we'll continue to try to clearly articulate where we're going and how we will do this. Right now, welcome to the Board of Education regular meeting. Regular meetings are a time for the board to conduct its business. As the Board of Education, we are here to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. The board may hear public participation for up to 60 minutes. Public participation shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. One speaker cannot yield their time to another speaker. There will be no responses this evening to any questions or concerns raised. They will be referred to the administration for review. As adults, we serve as positive role models for our students. Please be respectful of people. We ask speakers not to make defamatory comments or use abusive or vulgar language. So, thank you very much.
Janice Parker. And
Thank
you come over here.
Thank you.
Hold on. And
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Janice Parker, and I am a lifelong resident of New Haven, and most of you know me by Parks Department and Public Works. I'm here to just address a few concerns about the landscaping. I saw it, and I hate to go back in time, but I do want to give you some inside information from both sides of the fence, as a resident, as an employee. A lot of our property is split. Board of Ed have some, Parks Department have some. This has been an ongoing conversation, I know that. But also, Public Works have some of the green spaces, and so does the state. Take, for instance, Long Wharf. Long Wharf is split in 3 different categories: the state, Public Works, and Parks. But I particularly want to talk about most of the schools that we split right now. And we have offered our help, far as on overtime, to help out with the green spaces during the summer months. And also helping out with the snow plowing for the winter months. Because what's happening is that, say like for the winter months, we go out, we plow, we do a great job, right? And then here come the vendors for the private areas and the contractors and stuff, and they plow and put everything right back in the street. And then we have to come back and do double the amount of work. And I feel like some of the equipment that when these vendors, because I had asked to look at the contract before, and I'm asking again, can we take a look? They are lacking some of the trucks. They are lacking some of the equipment that they need when they come. They think it's all about snow plowing and put it in the street. No. As vendors, we expect for you to take the stuff away because that's what you get paid for. That's what I look at as a resident. I have my own business. When I go and when I clean, I take the trash and everything with me on my truck. So when I look at these things happening and I know that I'm out there clearing the streets, making things better, I'm getting a vision from both sides, and I come to address that this year we got to do better. Yes, it's been an issue. And, I would just want to say a few things about it as I jot down as well, as I wrote down some things as well. One was definitely bringing the tools that they need to take things away, finding out who owns the property. We get a lot of see-click fix it, and immediately we address it as Parks Department because we're here. But a lot of it is not our property. Say for John C. Daniels, everybody knows that John C. Daniels is Board of Ed. But on Tuesday, the 2nd, we had to go over there as the Parks Department and trim back the trees and do all the tedious work, and with the landscaping, they should be doing that, including the parking lots. They're forgetting that a lot of times, say for like Roberto Clemente, Parks Department is in charge of the track and the basketball area. Board of Ed has the sides, the front, and Hill Central. So when we go out and do these type of things. Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
so please finish your sentence.
Okay, so with that being concluded, we want to know how we can help. That's the question, because green spaces are important. And we're going into a season where we have to look at this more deeper. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ben Scudder,
All right. Hello. Welcome back to a new school year. It's great to be back. I wanted to share a couple of things. First of all, the financial education presentation we just had and the classes that are being implemented, I think are fantastic. I think I want to echo something that Mr. Wilcox said, which is just that as adults, there are things we can learn from these classes, right? And when we're teaching kids things that we might not have learned in school or their parents might not have learned in school, I think it tells us that we might be doing something right. So I'm really excited about that. I wanted to actually come here to talk about an event I went to yesterday, though, at the Teachers Union Hall, the Central Labor Council. They had an event commemorating the 50th anniversary of the 1975 teacher strikes here in New Haven. I'm not really here to talk about a strike, but more about the amazing teachers that were teaching at that time and some of the lessons they shared and how it reminds me of our teachers today. One of the things that was really salient that every single teacher said was that most of them were pretty hesitant to go on strike in 75. And what got them to do it was the belief that teachers' working conditions were also students' learning conditions, right? So it wasn't about them saying, I want more for me. It was about them wanting more for the kids. And when they could see it that way, it convinced them that they needed to demand more and ultimately led them to a strike. And I'm really struck by the fact that, as we're approaching, contract negotiations like we do every 3 years, and teachers are starting to talk about, oh, here are the things I want. One of the things that keeps coming up over and over again is that the things teachers are asking for aren't for them. Almost every teacher I hear from is asking for things so they can better support students. They don't want lower class sizes because they want to do less work. They want lower class sizes so they can give that kid who really needs more individual attention the time that he needs. Right? They don't want higher salaries just for them. They want higher salaries so that they don't have to work other jobs, right? And in addition to teaching, I have multiple coworkers who work other jobs so they can support their families. So the message here was really just that I think as we go into this time when I worry about divisions in New Haven, in a time when I think as a country we're being divided more than ever, I want us to not go down that path as much as we can. I want to really drive home that I think we are all on the same team trying to obviously make the best conditions possible for our kids, and that teachers in New Haven, all the ones I know at least, the things they're asking for and the things they're fighting for are ultimately for kids. And what's good for teachers in general, I think is good for kids. And I want to make sure that that is something that that we're all thinking about as we go into contract negotiations, but also just as we go into a new school year and we start to think about how we can set ourselves up for success, because ultimately we're all here for our kids, and that's what really matters. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
our next speaker is Chauncey Evers, online.
Hello, good evening. My name is Chauncey Evers. I am here this evening due to a mutual acquaintance, one of the Children's Health Literacy Ambassadors, Youth Ambassadors, Abdullah Ali, is also one of the student representatives for this board. I am here today to just speak a little bit about the Children's Health Literacy Department with Savaro. So our initiative is to educate 1 million children on health literacy, specifically stroke recognition. So the earlier conversations and initiatives I've heard about earlier on the board in this meeting resonate similarly. It's about teaching children things that sometimes adults don't even know, specifically the BFAST acronym. Very, very basic education can really prevent a lot of death and disability nationwide. So my role is Senior Manager of Clinical Operations and Quality and Director of the Children's Health Literacy Initiative with Savaro. It is a nationwide initiative, and we also are there now in the community thanks to one of our youth ambassadors. His vision, which aligns with our own, is teaching all children, elementary, middle, and high school, how to recognize and prevent stroke. So very, very, very basic information. Stroke is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, it is the fifth leading cause of death in the United States. And it is one of the largest financial burdens of the United States, just due to, unfortunately, the disability that happens with stroke. So that is why we were here this evening, to see how we can potentially build into the curriculum just some very basic education. BFAST acronym, for those who might not be aware. B is for balance, E is for eyes, F is for face, A is for arm weakness, S is for speech, and T is for time to call 911. So this is actually very simple, but can save lives. We have a very small margin of window to help save people who might be having a stroke. And so that is why we are out there trying to spread the word and awareness. Ultimately, children's health literacy, when we were out there educating our youth ambassadors and children, we say we want to start with you. We want to train them to be a lifesaver for themselves first. We want them to be aware of how they can prevent stroke in themselves and in their family and in their communities. So I believe and agree with our youth ambassador, who's also a representative there on the council, that we can easily build this in. We have plenty of ideas, and we would love to partner with you all in any way that that we can come up with. I know that the curriculum has many, many important things to go over. Financials, I first of all love that. I would say the financial education piece, I wish I would have had that whenever I was in school
Time.
as well. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to discussing this further.
Thank you.
Dr. President, that concludes all raised hands and signed speakers.
Thank you very much, and thank you for participating in public comment. Next on our agenda are the action items. First, the approval of the minutes of August 25th, 2025.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of August 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Dr. Benitez. Any discussion?
That was me.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Downer. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. That motion carries. Next is the personnel report. Dr. Negron.
Good evening again. I am hereby asking for approval of the personnel report that is before you.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the superintendent's personnel report.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner.
Yeah.
Dr. Benitez. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. That motion carries. Next, Finance and Operations Committee, Mr. Wilcox.
Thank you. Before I begin, would anybody like anything moved separately? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move forward. I will be moving one item separately. This is item 4.01. And I move that we approve the award of the agreement with Connecticut Rise Network as described in agenda item 4.01, subject to approval of either the Board of Alders or the Corporation Council.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker,
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. That motion carries. Mr. Wilcox?
Next, I will make the main motion here. I move that we approve the 3 agreements, the 1 amendment, and the 2 purchase orders as outlined on our agenda.
Second? Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Ms. Downer?
Yes.
Dr. Joyner?
Yes.
Dr. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Waters?
Yes.
Mayor Elicker?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. That motion carries. Next is our students report. There were 2 elements for Mr. Ailey's report and Ms. Cologne's report. One we heard, which they will send to board members. It's about the stroke education that Mr. Ailey would like to bring to the district for children and students to help recognize stroke in themselves and also help and prevent it in their family members and other adults. And the second is a policy that Mr. Ailey and other students are working on as it relates to the food share table. The food share table has been a partnership with select New Haven Public Schools and also the Food Service Department, where they are seeking to reduce food waste and also help students to not be hungry, where students can take food and based on certain guidelines from the state and the government, share that food during school hours. And so Mr. Ailey and our food department and other partners are going to work together to draft. There's already a policy draft to further draft and craft that policy, bring it before governance, and as it goes there, come to the board. Any discussion? Thank you. Next, our superintendent's report. Dr. Negron.
Thank you. For this presentation, I'm going to be inviting up Assistant Superintendent Keisha Red-Hannons. And Dr. White, if you could set us up, please. And tonight we bring before you prioritizing acceleration, recognizing progress. So we want to take an opportunity to give you an overview of our academic outcomes as it relates to our high stakes assessment, but I do want to underscore the very intentional title that we are giving this presentation, that this is all about our strategy to prioritize the acceleration that we are seeking while we're also recognizing the hard work of our teachers, the hard work of our students, and more importantly, that we are presenting this to you as it aligns with our path to excellence or strategic operating plan. So as you will see in the next slide, this is the image that we have become accustomed to observing. This is our roadmap for the next, I can't say 5 years now, because now we are in year 2. So for the next 4 years, in which we have identified with our community the 4 priorities that we are looking to have clear outcomes as it relates to teaching and learning, culture and climate, family and community partnerships, and operational efficiencies. All of this work, of course, being grounded by our core values that we hold as a community, because we're very clear that this work needs to be done in partnership with our families in the community, and that ultimately what we are seeking is to nurture critical thinkers and lifelong learners who are going to be successful when they leave us. And I want to remind you in the next slide that we have major goals that we are aiming to achieve by 2029. And again, tonight, it's about giving you the overview of how it is, what it is that our student achieved throughout last year's academic year. But again, I wanted to put these targets in front of all of us because this is the work that we are living by day in and day out, and want to make sure that the whole community is also very clear in keeping this at the forefront. With that, I'm going to turn it over now to Assistant Superintendent Red Hannons.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before the board. As Dr. Negron stated, this is about prioritizing our acceleration while recognizing our progress. Dr. White, if you could get me on the next slide, please. Thank you. And so what you see before you are our Smarter Balance Assessment results for starting with 2018-19, that's pre-pandemic, the blue results, and the orange represents our most recent year, 24-25, with the green being 23-24, the gold 22-23, and the red 21-22. So on the far left, what you see are ELA results. This is for grades 3 through 8 combined. And what you see is a steady increase, not as much from the green to the orange. We improved by 0.4 points. The state improved by 0.5. So we were right on target with the state's improvement. When we look at math, those are the middle bars, you see much more of an incline from the red to the gold, green, and the orange. Last year in mathematics, we improved by 2.9 points, which is higher than the state. The state improved by 2.5 points in mathematics. And finally, you see our science results on the far right. You also see an incline with them from the red to the orange. With the increase in science, 0.8, and the state increased by 1.2. So we weren't too far off, but when we look overall at our performance, you see an improvement over last year. And so we want to recognize, as Dr. Negron stated, the growth achieved by our students, but in no way do we want to paint the picture that we're happy and pleased with the final results. We know we need to accelerate learning in New Haven Public Schools. We're at a place where we're talking about acceleration and not just talking about growth and being happy about that. And that's a new topic for us when we start talking about acceleration, not just progress. If you go to the next slide, it gives you a different viewpoint of our data. And so this is broken down, the top table, I'll go over that. On the far left, you see individual grades, grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You see the same years that were displayed on the bar graph. 2018-19, far left is pre-pandemic. And then 21-22, moving over to 24-25. I think it's important that I highlight for you, you see 2 columns to the far right on that first chart. So let's talk about that. When we look at 24-25 data and we look across from grade 3, just looking at that row that says grade 3, what you see are us measuring our progress in grade 3 over time. Not the same set of kids, that's grade 3 over time. And so as I look across, I see that 13% in 2022-23, then 16.6, and then an increase to 17.1% last year. The 1 year difference is 0.5. Now keep in mind, this is just grade 3. This is not the same set of kids. And then when I move to grade 4, for example, and this is our ELA SBA overall achievement by groups, you can see last year, 23-24, we were at 18.2%, and then we moved up to 20.1%, which represents a 1.9% increase. But to the far right, I have another number next to that 1.9. You can see the brown shaded areas because I'm looking at grade 3. Those students performed at 16.6%, when they were in grade 3. Now, this is not a matched cohort. Matched cohort means it's the exact same kids, but the majority of these kids are our kids as they moved on to grade 4. We do know we have a transient population. And so when we look at how our children are progressing from grade 3 to grade 4, we see that 16.6 jump to 20.1%, which represents a 3.5 point increase from grade 3 to grade 4. And we're always asking, are students growing from one grade to the next? And you can see that. As you look across and you look on the diagonal, when you go to the pink, from the 13% to the 18.2%, and now to the 22.7%, you can see that those students that were in grade 3 in 22-23 that are now, well, coming out of grade 5 last year, increased to 22.7%. That's a 9-point increase, 9.7 point increase. And over last year, the 18.2 to the 22.7 represents a 4.5 point increase in percentages. So as you read the chart, just looking on the diagonal, looking across, you can do it with the lavender as well. The kids that were in grade 3 in 21-22, where are they in 24-25? They're at 25.7%. So we look down, we look across, we look diagonal when we look at our data to see how our students are performing. And you can see in ELA last year, when we look at grade 5 last year to grade 6 and grade 6 to grade 7, they basically remain flat in those grades. And so we're having conversations, we're going in classrooms, we're trying to figure out what happened, what tweaks we need to make, what adjustments. What we do know is that we implemented a new curriculum last year in grades 6, 7, and 8 in ELA. And so typically when you implement a new curriculum, there's typically a dip in overall performance. That may or may not be it, but we're getting in classrooms and having conversations with teachers around this data and sharing it with them. When we look at our subgroups, so we also have a chart there for our subgroups and looking at their performance, their overall performance. And so we start with our multilingual learners. We see that from 23-24 to 24-25, there's a 0.8 point increase. And then you can go down the list for our SPED. They remain basically flat at 5 percentage. Our high need students, we see a 0.5 point increase, as well as our females 0.6 and our males 0.3. When we go down to our ethnic groups, we see, and it's interesting because we've made a shift with our Asian students, because over the last couple of years, when you look at 21-22 to 22-23, we had taken a dip, but we've seen to turn that around last year, and we made an increase of 4.7 points. And our Black and African American students remain 0.4, so basically flat. Our Latino 0.1, 1.2 for 2 or more races, and 2.6 points. So you see the progress, you see what we've done, but we know we need to accelerate this progress more. As we look at math in the same way. You can see overall for mathematics that you see a lot of green. You see a lot of green, just like you saw a lot of green for ELA as well, which shows our students from one grade to the next grade, they're making improvements. We see the cohort, we can see across when there's not the same students as well. So you see the green. We do have that 4th to 5th grade. We're looking at 5th grade ELA and math. We are both looking at 5th grade, and we're actually engaged in some collaborative walkthroughs that Dr. Negrón will speak to later. That's already started this year. And then you can see our subgroup performance as well as our demographic groups. You see a lot of green there as well, which is showing our students performed at a higher level than they did the previous year, but we still are focused on acceleration. As we go to our next slide, this is SAT achievement, right? So the SBA grades 3 through 8, keeping in mind we are a pre-K-12 district. So our SAT achievement yearly comparison, in 23-24, we took a huge jump from 26.8% to 35.3%. And remember, this is grade 11, different kids over time. So there's not any looking at how they perform the following year because the SAT is given in grade 11, and that's when we get the results. And so when we look at our 11th graders from last year, they took a dip in comparison to the 11th graders from the previous year. They're at 31.8%. And in mathematics, we had a little bump up in math. We went up 0.9 points in mathematics, the grade 11 comparison. Next, we look at our lost links. And for our lost links assessment, this is measuring English proficiency for our multilingual learners, right? So this test measures English proficiency for our multilingual learners. We look at literacy, we look at oral, and we look at overall how our students are meeting those proficiency standards. What you see in literacy, that's the far left, you see the incline from 21-22 to 24-25 from red to gold, green, and orange. So a nice incline in literacy. In oral, we made a jump in comparison to the previous year, and we're not too far off of our pre-pandemic proficiency scores in oral. And then overall, that's a combination of literacy and oral. You can see the incline represented there showing progress for our multilingual learners. As I stated earlier, we are a pre-K-12 district. It's great that we're talking financial literacy tonight and that partnership, because what you're looking at here is another rating that the state looks at, right? We're not just about test scores. And we want to think of our portrait of a graduate. Who are the students that are exiting our doors? What skills, what characteristics are they leaving NHPS with? Well, I can tell you with our dual credit enrollment, you'll see this slide over time. On the far left, you see our college and university partners from the Connecticut State System, Quinnipiac, SCSU, UB, UConn, UNH, Yale. Those are our partners that are offering dual credit classes and are partnering with us. We have the cost per hour, per credit hour for each university. It ranges from $192 to $1,844 for one credit hour. And here, next to that, starting in the lavender, I think if you're online, you just see it as white, but you see the number of dual enrollment credits earned in each university by our students, with the highest being 442 from Southern Connecticut State University to 267 credits earned at Yale University by our students. And you see next to that column what the cost is, right? How much is that costing us? When we talk about our funding and how we're spending and leveraging our dollars, this is money saved for our families because we're paying this bill in New Haven Public Schools for our families to earn these particular credits. That's our dual enrollment. Our dual enrollment courses are when our students are going on to the university campus to take courses at the university. Then you see our concurrent enrollment, the next column. That's when we have some of our teachers certified as adjunct professors. Our students are enrolled in their classes on the high school campus, but they're also earning college credit. You can see it's for SCSU, our students have earned 1,903 credit. That's just last year. We're talking about just 24-25, right? And then at UConn, although UConn is a distance away, we still have a pretty strong partnership with UConn, and our students have earned 706 credits. So when we look at that, that's a total of 3,221 credits in the concurrent enrollment for a savings of over $2.1 million. I'll say that again. That's 3,221 credits for concurrent enrollment with a savings of over 2.1 million. Total, when we combine dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment together, our students have earned 4,248 credit hours with a total savings of 3.1 million, over $3.1 million. That is impressive for the work that we're doing in the short amount of time to ramp up our college and career pathways, but also to provide opportunities for our students. Our cost savings this year is over $925,000 more than the 23-24 academic year. And so we thought it was important to bring you this information. You'll get more information on our dual enrollment and our dual credit, but this is part of one of the indicators, and we'll talk about that later, that the state uses, but also that we're using in our path to excellence as well. Dr. White, if you could go to the next slide. Our path to excellence, as a reminder, are major goals. Remember, our 5-year targets, we are doing progress monitoring right now by presenting this information to you now. We're talking about demonstrating target skills in language development, literacy, numeracy development, our average % of growth target achieved. We'll talk about that in a minute. On literacy and mathematics, for our lost links as well. Our 9th grade on track for cohort graduation. So part of that for F&O you just passed for RISE. That is one of the reasons why we want to partner with RISE and get the data hub, is because we want to be even more strategic in how we're looking at data and looking at our 9th graders so that we have real-time information to track their progress in an easy way and manner for our classroom teachers and our administrators. We're also looking at the percentage of students who graduate in 4 years or less, as well as our chronic absenteeism rate and student sense of belonging. So that's just a reminder. So where we are, how did we do in our targets, our goals that we set in HPS on our path to excellence? So what we see and this is our early childhood. So we're looking at our early childhood target skills in pre-K. In language, we were up 2.4 points. In literacy, 5.9, and numeracy, 7 points over the past year. Keeping in mind, our target is 80% by 2029. So that is our target, to get to 80%. And we'll talk about where we fared with our growth meeting our target for this year. But you can see we're up in all 3 indicators. For average percentage of growth target achieved, just as a reminder, average percentage of growth target achieved means the amount of growth our students are achieving based upon what is predicted for them to achieve. So you have a growth rate, and it's either yes or no. Did I make my growth rate or didn't I make my growth rate? And then you have this average % of growth target achieved. What's the percentage of growth that our students are achieving when we look at where they should be? And so what we saw in ELA was from baseline year. Remember, we used the baseline year for our path to excellence. We saw a 3.6 point increase. For mathematics, we saw a 1.7 point increase. What that means is our target by 2029 is 70.1%. In ELA, we're at 54.8%. And in math, our target is 71%, with our target being, with our current performance level, 54.6%. Our average percentage of growth target achieved for our MLs and literacy, we're up 2.8 points, but in oral, we're at 0.2. So we basically remain flat, but we went down 0.2 points, and that's indicated there. Our target is that we are at 85% by 2029. All right. Our high school outcomes, ninth grade on track. That means that our students that were enrolled in ninth grade last year, that by the end of the year, they accumulated at least 6 full credits. We're up approximately 5.9 points there. We have not looked at all of our ninth graders yet, so that's why it's approximate, but we know we're up about 5.9 percentage points. Students taking at least 2 dual credit courses, we're up 4.5 points. Just that you know, our ninth grade on track target by 2029 is 94%. We're at 78.9%. And for dual credit courses, we're at 77.8%, and the target is 83%. Our results are pending. They're always a year behind for graduating in 4 years or less. So those results will come in February 2026. Student engagement, that's our chronic absenteeism. We know our chronic absenteeism rate went down 4.5 points last year. So our chronic absenteeism rate went down 4.5% to 32.1%. With a goal of 20% by 2029. And our sense of belonging went up for students from 45% to 49% with a goal of 85%. So you see a lot of green. So you see a lot of progress. You see a lot of indicators moving in the right direction. But why are we talking acceleration? We're talking acceleration because we set ambitious goals for ourselves. We set goals that we wanted to get to a higher rate by the end of 2029 with our path to excellence. And so the charts that you see before you show you what was our baseline in the second column to the left, what was the goal. So if I'm looking at, let's just say ELA goal for average percent target achieved, what I see baseline was 51.2%. The goal was for us to get to 55.7%. Our actual was 54.8%. So yes, we increased by 3.5 points, but we did not meet the goal. And so that's why you see the red there for 24-25. We know our goal in 25-26 is 59.3 points. And you can see it all for our early childhood goal, our math goal. Yes, the green represents the progress that you see, but the red means that we did not hit our accelerated target for the year. And if you go to the next slide, you can see where chronic absenteeism, right? Want to shout out our YFCE team, Chief Gemma Joseph Lumpkin, who's here. She was able to meet her target, right? You see the double green on the left side, the second table in. So we were able to get down 4.5 points. The target for 24-25, the goal was 33.28. We achieved 32.1. You see for our college and career goal on the top right, at least 2 dual credit courses, right? Shout out Dina Natalino, Supervisor Natalino, and her team on the college and career readiness, because we were able to increase by 4.5 points, which hit our, surpassed our goal of 75%. We're at 77.8 points there. And then you see the yellow for the results that are pending. So with that, I am turning it over to the superintendent to talk about the priorities for the year.
So where are we going? Where we're going is that we're going to stay the course, right? We have a roadmap. We have a roadmap that we built together with our community. We know where it is that we need to be. We know the targets that we are aiming for by 2029. And as it relates to my own priorities as a superintendent, I'm aiming to align my priorities to the priorities of our path to excellence, the same way also that we would then align our school improvement plans so that everything that we're doing as a district is coherent, is aligned, that we're all sort of like rowing in the same direction so that we can meet the ultimate goals. So year one, you may recall that I started with 2 priorities, chronic absenteeism and literacy. Year two for me is when I added culture and climate. And now in year three, I'm adding an additional priority, which is continuous improvement. And basically what that looks like, it's that inside of chronic absenteeism, it's continuing to do the work. When we say that attendance matters every single day, that we want children in our schools every day taking access to the instruction that our teachers have prepared for them so that ultimately they can meet the grade level standards. It also means that we have to strengthen our partnerships, and I do want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to the New Haven Health Department. Through that partnership and the thinking, the opportunities that we went after, I can tell you that we have already made progress in terms of families being ready as soon as they register a child to ensure that they are compliant with everything that they need to be able to enter day one as it relates to immunizations and as it relates to our physical exams. So it's taking an opportunity that when it comes to attendance, that it really has to be an entire collective effort that starts not just in schools, but it really starts with our families. And I do want to thank our parents because I think they answered the call that we have laid out the last 2 years and now this year in saying we need children in school starting from day one. And I have to tell you that is data that I personally look at every single day. We take a look at our attendance to ensure that in every class that attendance is being taken, that we are following the protocols that we have laid out as it relates to tracking our kids' attendance. I do want to apologize once again to our families. We know that we started a new tool, Optgy, to communicate better with our families, and we did have some glitches on day one and day two. We were being so aggressive to ensure that kids were in their seats. And I know that many families got messages saying, your child is absent, when indeed the child was not absent, the child was with us. But were able to work out those glitches, and now Optgy is it's more accurate in the work that we are doing. But again, it's also about the work that is happening in our schools. There is an attendance team that meets with Fidelity, that they are coming together to review who's in school, who hasn't been in school, how many days have they missed. Are we deploying the resources that we have, such as care coordination? Do we know if there's a barrier? And if there's a barrier, are we aligning those resources for the family so that we can break the barriers that exist so children can be in school? All of that to say that we're going to continue to hone in around chronic absenteeism. The other strategy is around literacy. And this, just like we say, attendance matters every day. The slogan now is instructional minutes matter. So we are taking a close look at how many minutes are kids supposed to be in the literacy block? Do we have adherence to those minutes in every master schedule? We're even taking a close look in terms of how long does it take you to transition from one class to the next, to say children belong in their classes. We should be able to go from class A to class B and be there in time. So when the block opens, our teachers are ready to go, because now there's fidelity to the curriculum that we have invested in so that we can prioritize every instructional minute, not only in literacy, even though literacy is the priority, that we're doing that in every content area, because again, every minute counts. You also heard us talk a lot about a multi-tier system of supports. So now that there was a lot of work done that the team did last year in planning it, this year now it's about implementing. Meaning, are we taking a close look at how kids are performing at the tier 1 level, but also on the behavioral side too? How are they doing? And then Are we identifying them and moving them to the additional supports that they needed when they need those interventions? And then if that doesn't work out, are we accelerating and moving them into tier 3? But this is the year that we are now fully implementing on our MTSS framework. In addition to all the work that we did last year around DataWise and how Harvard came in, or teachers and teams participated in that process, that's another opportunity when we meet as teams to look at how the kids are faring out in literacy, putting a closer look at how our students are doing to ensure that we are immediately acting when things are not connecting, to ensure, again, that we have our next steps clearly identified so that our students can continue to meet with success. The next priority is around culture and climate. We know that climate matters. We want our kids to feel, not only feel, but to know that they're heard, they're seen, and that they know that this is their community, and that it doesn't matter the language that they speak, it doesn't matter their background, it doesn't matter whether they are an immigrant or not, that they are all welcome. But we need to continue to build school environments where kids walk in, and from the moment they walk in, they feel that. Because we know that when kids belong, they're going to be better connected. And when those things happen, kids are more ready to be able to access education, and that leads to greater outcomes. So we are continuing that work around culture and climate. We are going to work again on our school climate improvement plans that our leaders are working on, to ensure that, again, we mean what we say. In New Haven, we just don't talk about, being a welcoming city, that we mean it in everything that we do and with the work that we carried out. And the last priority this year that I am adding is that it's all about continuous improvement. Because for all of us, it's about continuing to learn. You just heard about these amazing teachers that spend their summer accessing professional development as it related to financial literacy. But it is for all of us, from the top down, that we are accessing learning because we want to engage in being at the top of our game, to ensure that we have systems that we operate under to indicate where it is that we need to pause, reflect, reinvent when we need to reinvent, but that we are taking full access of the thousands of ESSER dollars that we spent in our DataWise training, to ensure that we all now have one framework in how we look around continuous improvement. This work entails professional learning plans for everyone, not just the schools, the teachers, the departments, and everybody at central office, but also the fact that we believe in engaging in this work through collaboration. And that also means the work that we do inside of our classrooms, the work that we do as departments, and long gone are the days when we can say, I close my door and let me be. Then no, we are saying our schools are open, our classrooms are open, because we are all leveraging the expertise that we each have to offer to ensure that we can continue to be on this cycle of improvement, so that we can produce the outcomes that we know our children are capable of, and that as a collective, as a district, that we are capable of setting these high expectations to ensure that all of our children, no matter who they are going to be ready for when they leave us, so that they can access a better future. And with that, Assistant Superintendent Hannons and I are going to pause here to take any questions that you may have as it relates to our presentation this evening, all around prioritizing acceleration.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Thank you for presenting. So Eva, I'll start with one of the last things you said, which is working with the students and the teachers and the district's capacity. I appreciate that you added acceleration to growth because it speaks to a confidence and a recognition that students do have more capacity to go further faster. We may see this commonly in the athletic field, or we may see this commonly in anything personally that I want to do for my life where I'm impatient and I want it to happen. There's some kind of way I can tap into my capacity that is there in order to move forward. But to be a leader and to take a bold step to say, not only are we going to grow, but we're going to see and try to accelerate growth is really making a statement about what you believe, but also about what you recognize in our students and in our staff and teachers. I also appreciate the dual and concurrent enrollment and credit that you spoke about. It is widely known that that there's an affordability issue with higher education, and this directly addresses that. In addition to addressing the cost of education, it is also just very taxing to do 4 more years or 2 years, depending on what someone is going for, and to be able to start in high school to acclimate our students to that more rigorous environment is really adding years onto their life professionally. And the last thing that sticks out to me that I'll mention today is your use of data. Thank you for using the data. And not just mentioning data, but really turning it on its head every which way and seeing what it shows us, asking questions that we want to know more about, and being able to present the trends in a sophisticated way, recognizing where there is a cohort that is moving and how the data may reflect that, or when it's not quite a cohort, and just really breaking that down. I appreciate you doing that internally, and then I appreciate you coming to this public forum to discuss that with us and taking your time to walk through it. Thank you for your leadership in your work and all the families, students, staff, teachers who are working on this. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes, thank you. I won't go too deep into this. You mentioned several of the things that I wanted to highlight. The two in particular, the money saved by students because of the dual enrollment credits and seeing that laid out like that and the progress that's been happening. That's just wonderful. That's real money. It's cost effective. The real money savings for students. And we all know that those programs are also great because it proves that they can earn college credits already in these dual enrollment, which means that they could, if they choose to, continue on and be also able to do that. So it really helps make that achievable and demonstrates it very clearly to students. And also just want to say, been on the board for several years, and the presentations around this types of data is just getting better and better, more full featured. I know the district's always looked at data, always goes through this in a variety of different ways, but it also just seems like everybody's up in their game through the extra training, through DataWise, and being on the same page, working together on the strategic plan. And we're seeing the results in a lot of these categories, chronic absenteeism and others that are just, it's showing great progress. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about it this year because I think it's going to be a good year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilcox. Okay, see no further discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the President's report. And I'll just share that our board conducted our standard annual review and evaluation of our superintendent. And there are 7 standard areas for evaluation for superintendents. They include visionary leadership, instructional leadership, talent development and labor relations, culture and climate, operational and fiscal improvements, family and community engagement, and demonstrating leadership grounded in Board of Education and Superintendent collaborative governance. And our board agrees that our superintendent has been highly effective and effective in these areas, and we are appreciative of your leadership. And I think even in your presentation today, you spoke about how you had priority areas for year one and for year two, and now for year three, you added an additional one where you continue to build upon the gains from previous years and also continue to stretch all of us because it is about the students improving and moving forward. We are very appreciative for your leadership. We know that you are growth-oriented and growth-minded, and you start with yourself first, and then it trickles down to everyone else and even us on the board. So thank you very much for leading us. We look forward to continue to work with you and the rest of the team. And thank you for working with what we have as a district, going through the struggles and challenges and facing them head on and continuing to work and collaborate with all of us to move things forward. I know that I am not a perfect leader and this is not a perfect board, yet as we have seen in this presentation today, there are excellent things that are happening and we see them and we are very appreciative of them. Any discussion? Thank you. Seeing none, next on our agenda, Dr. Joyner, Teaching and Learning Facilities Naming Committee Report.
Okay, I held my peace during the comments because I think I can hit on everything in the TL report. Since this is the start of the academic year, I'd just like to say that our TL committee, we've already given some topics based on the needs of the district, consistent with the template that the superintendent has provided for us. And as far as reports are concerned, we'd like to have the minutes in the packet so that people can see what we discuss and what have you. And we clearly want teaching and learning to be aimed at improving teaching and learning bottom up, top down. In other words, the focus is on the classroom teaching the student and the type of logistics and resources around that, those groups that will really enhance the capacity of teachers to teach and students to learn. We also recognize that we embedded in a financial context that makes that difficult, at the same time trying to educate a group of students who come from all over the world, and in many cases are poor, and in other cases are traumatized by things that have happened in their native lands, as well as students who are from the United States who live in, I guess you would say, shark-infested environments. And that's a challenge. It's the most daunting challenge in education. But the big questions that we're trying to address is, how does what we do at every level of the system impact the immediate and long-term development of students at every level of schooling? Not just what they learn, but how they learn, as well as what they do with what they know. Because quite frankly, educating students well that have not had ethical and moral development is a problem. All we have to do now is look at leaders in the world and in the country in terms of using what they know to negative ends. The other big challenge that we face is, how can we educate the public about the urgency and consequences of teaching and learning? That in order for us to have the kind of society that we idealize, a society based on the concept of e pluribus unum, the greatest good for the greatest number, freedom, justice, equality, and those kinds of things. We have to have a school system and community norms, state norms, and federal norms that are strictly aligned with the Constitution and with the very best moral conduct of people in our society over space and time. And that's something that human beings struggle with. It's not unique to the United States, but at least we have a system in place that purports to be about freedom, justice, and equality. As far as that's concerned, you know, people talk about the whole village. Well, the whole village is based on the conduct of the villagers. And it's a high-sounding phrase. Hillary Clinton wrote a book about it. The organization I led for 20-plus years had talked about that long before she wrote the book and tried to work with systems to help everybody align their efforts with the growth and development of children in 6 essential pathways. And I see that happening in a way in this district now that I haven't seen it before. At the same time, there's a storm around us that seeks to delegitimize public education, underfund it, and demonize it when it's probably the best thing that ever happened to this country, particularly in transforming the futures of colonized and enslaved people, low-income immigrants, and people who were traditionally not seen as worthy, gay people, handicapped people, poor people. And New Haven has, if you know your education history, has led the nation for years in the type of responses to those populations of students. The father of Head Start, the father of school reform, and James Comer, Ed Ziegler. And and Gerald Tarazi, we ought to name something after him because he's one of probably the greatest superintendents that ever lived. And we're going to work on that. So with Teach and Learn, we want to do all those things that we know we should be doing that's based on research and practice to enhance that. And our superintendent is leading us in that direction. And our board president is certainly intellectually and temperamentally suited to lead us in that direction. And I believe that our mayor, I know that our mayor is doing the kind of things from his office that aids education. And haven't seen that in a while, but I'm glad to see it. I mean, the guy doesn't even have a chauffeur. So that money is being spent elsewhere. I mean, he doesn't have a chauffeur. You know, we've had mayors that had cops driving them around and that sort of thing. And, you know, that was then, this is now. I'm not casting any shade on people. The question that I want to ask about the data, and you probably can't answer it now, but I'd like to have it at the front of the agenda in our next TL meeting. I think I heard Ms. Hannon, Red Hannon, talk about cohort tracking, and I guess what I'd like to know, if we're doing grade level tracking and cohort tracking at the same time, so we can take a look at that. And the reason that's important is because a cohort is a moving target, but it's also a changing target because of the number of kids that come in and out of the system. So cohort A might have Johnny Jones and Jose Feliciano and Mitty Baker and all those people in year one, but they might not be there in year two. And their scores are going to impact the mean of the cohort group. So are we doing actually three types of measuring, student measurement? Are we tracking the cohort over time? Are we looking at the grade level over time? And are we measuring the effects of our program on students versus those students who come to us from other systems who have not had our treatment effects? And by treatment effects, I'm talking about everything we do in this district to educate and develop children. The reason I say that is because New Haven has more resources, more offerings, and more diversity than any district in the state. And if you ask yourself, look at our magnet program, if you look at at some of the special programs we have, like Riverside and like the Sound School and whatever, and our public charters. We have so much available for our students and people who are willing to work hard. The part about acceleration is critically important because I'm reminded of something that Benjamin Mays, and if you don't know who he is, you should. Benjamin Elijah Mays, should have been an alpha, but he was a Q. He said, when you're born behind in the race of life, you must run faster. That is an undeniable truth. And if you ask anybody in this room and within the sound of my voice that was born poor and that achieved, it's because you did stuff that the folks that were born poor and didn't achieve didn't do. And you ran faster, you sacrificed. And that mindset, that's really the growth mindset, Dr. Negron. If you're born on a cotton patch, you recognize you don't want to pick cotton for all of your life. And while you're picking that cotton, you're reading a book or you're talking to somebody that's educated and so on and so forth. And the kids in our district who overachieve despite unearned disadvantages are overachieving because they're running faster. And they're not out here shooting each other and doing things that we know are not productive. So it's critically important for us to measure the impact of kids who have spent their entire 12 or 13 years in our system versus the impact of kids who have come to us from other situations where they may or may not have had as much as we offer, but they're hungry enough to take advantage of what we offer. And that's critically important. And also to look behind the numbers. Nobody would blame a doctor if patients didn't show up for treatment. Nobody in the world would blame a doctor for that. But all over the world, people blame teachers for kids not coming to school. Now just think about the illogic of that you're blaming teachers for kids not coming to school. Nobody would blame a doctor if the doctor prescribed something and after 30 days, the patient came back and the doctor says, well, did you take the aspirin? No, I didn't. Nobody would blame the doctor for that. If the doctor said you should walk 30 minutes a day, nobody would blame the doctor because the first place to look for a helping hand is at the end of your own arm. And that is the force multiplier. That's the thing that allows our kids to overachieve and to punch up. And so we need to look at all of that. And in terms of accelerating, we can accelerate all we want to at the system level, but we got to get the kids to run with us. And we have to get the parents to push them to run with us. And we have to be very clear about the various roles that stakeholders in this community play in the education and development of children. And pass out the work and do our very best. The other thing that I was pleased to hear, if you read an old study called Time to Learn by the RAND Corporation, it made a distinction between allocated time and engagement time. Allocated time is the time that the course runs. So maybe it might be a 90-minute advanced history course. Engagement time is the time that the students spend in learning, paying attention, and being responsible within that 90-minute period. And that's why Dr. Lonnie Garris said you cannot educate an empty seat. Because the time is allocated, but the person is not there. And that's why Dr. Edward Jonas said you cannot educate an angry seat. Because an empty seat is not disturbing the class. They're really having a problem in terms of their own development. But an angry seat can cause so much chaos. And that's why the whole question of holistic development and emotional intelligence is so important. And I say that based as a 70-plus-year-old man, that I have to manage my emotional intelligence as well as a representative of this organization. So I'm looking forward to one quick last thing about literacy. We're not just talking about literacy from a strictly literature or reading standpoint. We're talking about content literacy. There's a vocabulary in history, science, math, and what have you. So what we're talking about is basic literacy on the one hand, but we're also talking about specialized content literacy on the other hand. Because if you don't know the vocabulary and the concepts in a particular content area, you cannot navigate it, because literacy unlocks language unlocks every content area door. You can't get in the door without mastering the knowledge, the language in the particular content area. So that concludes my report, but I am so optimistic about that. And Dr. Reed Hannons, I'm gonna give you that because I know you're working on it. Cohort tracking coupled with grade level tracking, and do we have a mechanism to measure the influence and impact of what we do versus what kids have gotten someplace else? Because that's important. Because in Michigan, they did a study of low-income kids in Detroit public schools and in suburbs, and they found that Detroit was doing a better job of educating poor kids than poor kids were getting when they were in suburban communities. I wish I could name that study, but it was a long time ago. I was a lot younger, and I'm going to look it up again, though. But the point of the matter is that the kids were better off in Detroit than they were in affluent, if they were poor, than they were in affluent suburbs, where they were poor, but they were not perceived of as capable, and they didn't have the kind of teachers that we have with the experience that we have with kids. So that concludes my report, and I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure that we're going to continue to do well. That concludes.
Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Any discussion? Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Wilcox for the Head Start report, Citywide School Building Committee report, and Finance and Operations report.
All right, thank you. For Head Start and Citywide, there's no report. We have not met since our last meeting. For Head Start, we should be meeting on Thursday, the 18th, and Citywide on this coming Thursday, the 11th. For Finance and Operations, the minutes are attached to the meeting materials for this meeting. Recording should be posted online. Two things I'll mention in addition to the things that are on, from the things that are on the minutes. One is we discussed outlining the facilities funding gap, which we're talking about doing work to be able to, just like there is a staffing guidelines report that outlines in 42 different categories the shortages we have in staff in terms of how many we should have based on national standards or professional judgment versus to how many we can afford to have. Also being able to do the same with our facilities. We all know that as rising costs, inflation, staffing costs, et cetera, facilities are often paying the price. So we did talk about ways of being able to outline that, to be able to demonstrate to the public, to the alders, to the state, to others, that just how big the gap is in terms of what we have to be able to put into these facilities and what we can afford to. The other thing did want to mention is that another thing we did was discuss the snow removal contract. We were told that the contract is soon going to be posted. The request for proposal will soon be posted to the city's purchasing website, soliciting proposals. And this is done in such a way that this is not just solely the lowest bidder, which is what we've done in the past, but this will be soliciting proposals, which staff will be able to, and the review committee will be able to take a look at other things like equipment, past experience, the total package, not just who's the cheapest. So that is something I thought people might like to be aware of. So happy to answer any questions, but those are the reports.
Thank you. Any discussion? Thank you. Dr. Benitez, governance report.
Yes, good evening, members of the Board of Ed and the public. We did not meet the past month, but we will have a meeting September 25th. At that point, we will work on edits that we have to make to the recently approved school culture and climate policy due to changes at the state level. And so we will be doing that in our next meeting. We also want to remind all of you who are working on updating policies that we are open for business. School year started, and we really would appreciate if you start sending policies for us to review, update, and approve. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Any discussion? For the Food Service Task Group report, the Food Service Task Group has an upcoming meeting this week. Any discussion? Thank you. Executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-206B and E and 1-210B, 4, and 10 concerning strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation in the matter of Light versus New Haven Board of Ed, and discussion which would result in the disclosure of attorney-client privilege records. I move that we enter into executive session.
Seconded.
Thank you. That's been moved and seconded. Any discussion and who should be a part of this, please?
We need Attorney Alexiadis.
Okay, Attorney Alexiadis. Thank you, and Attorney Peter Murphy of Shipman and Goodwin. All right, we will vote. Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. We are now in executive session, and I believe the link has been sent. We are now back from executive session. No votes were taken. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr.
I move
Chair,
adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. We'll vote. Dr. Joyner,
Yes.
Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox,
Yes.
Dr. Benitez,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
Mayor Elicker.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. We are adjourned. Good night.